Hello, everybody. Welcome to IST 110. I'm, of course, Professor S, and this is today's class. If it'll change. There we go. All right. So anyways, we talked about two things, societal issues and group project. Interesting enough, we'll do the same thing next week, or next class, sorry, excuse me. But it'll be different societal things and different things about the group project. But anyways, so societal issues. So this is just what the chapter is called. And the things we're actually talking about today aren't really related to society. It's more of e-commerce and stuff like that. So first thing is in-house and outsourcing. So when we're talking about in-house, what that means is the work is handled directly by employees. Outsourcing is when work is done by somebody else. You pay some sort of other company or contractor to do the work for you. So even though, like I said, it could be for a specific person, but there's a difference between a contractor and an employee, right? So different things that people outsource, like this was something that I asked students of different examples that they could come up with. Like you can really outsource almost anything, from accounting to HR to lots of different things. And the benefit is thinking about scaling and size and that sort of thing. So maybe like for HR, your company is so small, like you have 5 people or something like that, you need HR, but it doesn't make sense to have an HR department. So that's why you might hire an HR organization to help you with it. Accounting, same sort of thing. But there's lots of different reasons for outsourcing. Like for instance, it could, like the students brought up, that it could help. It's cheaper upfront, sort of thing. So instead of having to like have a dedicated group or person do this thing, you just have somebody that handles the small amount of work that there is, or things like that. Another reason is scalability, right? So the thing is like you need flexibility for whatever instances, and you need like for cloud computing. A lot of the cloud computing is outsourcing in a different way, right? Because the idea is it's like you're paying for this service in some way. So like for instance, when we're doing infrastructure as a service, that's where you're essentially outsourcing your infrastructure to to somebody else. And so that can help so that you don't have to have those dedicated machines and have to worry about those dedicated machines. So it helps, like if you get the small, you're essentially just paying for what you need. You pay if you have a small amount of service that you're using it for, you don't pay as much as having the big machines. Whereas if you get like a big amount of people, you're just paying for that. You're paying for that amount. See, so a small amount you pay for. You pay for if you use a very little bit of it, you pay for that little amount. Whereas if you get you pay more when you get more service, right? And so the idea is like it allows for that flexibility, because the idea is if you're also if you're busier, then you're making more money from that whatever that is that's making you busier, right? Anyways, crowdsourcing is another way that organizations make money and work. So for instance, Wikipedia, they don't make their money this way. They well, I mean, like their money is made from donations, but the service they provide is information, and it's provided by anybody, right? They crowdsource their information from people, and there's and since anybody can contribute to it, they've got the criticism of being not a very reputable source. But at the same time, they've established mentorships and things like that to allow or not mentorships, not monitors and things like that to make sure people cite sources and things like that. Yelp and TripAdvisor are another example where they crowdsource information, because the idea is like when you go to Yelp or you go to TripAdvisor or similar sort of things where you're looking to see reviews. Those organizations really thrive on people reviewing the product so that other customers know that this is indeed a product that's worth getting. Kickstarter, that's an organization that's it allows people to fund projects, right? So like say, or organizations to fund projects. So let's say you're wanting to build a new product. The upfront cost is a lot. And so instead of having some wealthy donor investing in you, you could get a lot of little bits of money from a bunch of different people. So instead of thousands of dollars from from like one individual, you get $100 or something like that from a bunch of people. And then Waze also kind of works the same way as like Yelp and TripAdvisor, where it works by people contributing. Anyway, some of the benefits to crowdsourcing is the low cost. So the idea is like oftentimes people work for free, and so they might contribute to this for different reasons. So it's a reason to, or like one of the reasons could be it's bragging rights or something like that, something that they feel like they're kind of a part of, like maybe. So one of the reasons for crowdsourcing is a lower cost. So oftentimes users work for free when they're doing these crowdsourcing. So for each one of these examples that I've mentioned before, Wikipedia, Yelp, TripAdvisor, Waze, Kickstarter's different. So that's like people aren't contributing for free. But the idea is like people are not being paid for their contributions, right? You write a Yelp review, you're not getting paid. So if you think about like the different reasons for why somebody would contribute, they could be desiring to contribute to society. This is something that's kind of important with like Waze. You notice that there's an accident that you see up ahead that's going to back up traffic so that anybody that's also in that long line of traffic can see that there's an accident up ahead and can get an idea for how backed up the road is. So that's kind of helping society. Another thing is kind of seeking recognition and wanting social interaction. So it's like, so they do that to say like, this is my contribution. So for instance, Stack Overflow is another example of this. And the benefit to this is like reasons why people might contribute to that is that they want to help the community of programmers. They want to challenge themselves to see what sort of issues people are having, maybe, or just to provide the help that other people help them, like kind of paying it forward. And all these things are different reasons why people might be motivated to contribute to these crowdsourcing things. Anyways, another thing that we mentioned before is scaling. So one of the things is like the more users that use this service, the more it works, right? So with like TripAdvisor or Yelp or Airbnb, like all these different things, one of the reasons why it works is because a lot of people are using it. And that's oftentimes with this crowdsourcing. In order for the benefit of it is like a lot of people contributing to it. Wikipedia, it's a bunch of people contributing to its knowledge base, not just one person. Like I heard there's one person that made a bunch of contributions, like way more contributions than like everybody, but he's not contributing everything. There's most of Wikipedia is being contributed to by a lot of other people. So anyways, the scaling is also important. Another thing is the quality. So the idea is like when it's just one person contributing to it, there's the not necessarily accountability, but there's the information can be corrected by individuals. Like for instance in Wikipedia. So say somebody puts a new post in Wikipedia, then a person reading it could like identify, hey, you're missing sources here and this sort of thing. So the idea is like the more people that are involved in the process, theoretically, the more correct the information can get, right? Because if you kind of think about, everybody knows something, and they everybody puts their piece of understanding together, then we all kind of understand the puzzle of life together. Just an analogy. Let's see. I think that's good for this. Anyways, we went through this with a couple examples, because these aren't just with e-commerce sites. These are with lots of different things. So when we're talking about business to consumers, this is like what we normally think of with, like, for instance, stores sort of thing. So business to consumers would be like Amazon. Easy. Consumers to consumers, that would be eBay, where people are like, eBay is a service that's allowing people to sell other things to other people, like their junk or whatever. And then business to business, these are services, like if we're thinking about selling specific goods, you could think about this like we've been doing for the past couple things, where we had Amazon selling directly to customers, eBay kind of mitigating or not mitigating, but facilitating the sale between two consumers. Business to business would be things like wholesale and things like that. And of course, these aren't all the examples, but the idea is like business to business is for businesses. They do sell goods and services to businesses. So, like, for instance, maybe like when we think back to the cloud computing, the infrastructure as a service, that's not really for consumers, that's really for businesses. So just a thought. And then I went through this thing with a quick break, and the idea behind this is to think about your surroundings and how it affects your productivity. These are different things that I try to think about with wellness. And so the thing is, when we think about like the different things, like what we're sitting on, our different surroundings, like what we may want at the time might not be the most helpful productively. Like, for instance, like let's say you really like listening to a certain type of music. And even though it might bring you joy when you're working, is playing that music actually helping you work? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But the idea is like you need to like kind of understand yourself to understand if that is helping. And the idea is it's not just like music or images around you. Is having the TV on. Like, sure, you might want to watch this is a game is on or something like that, and you don't want to miss that game. But is it helping your productivity? And so the thing is like we have all these different things that we think we want, but it doesn't help our goal in being more productive. And I'm not trying to turn you into productive machines. I'm just trying to get you to understand and think about these different aspects of our lives that when we're trying to work, help us work. Okay. And this doesn't just go to like the comfort things and the things like that help us focus, but also like chairs, for instance. So this chair right here, this chair is not as built for comfort as you might think. It's really more built for looks, right? And so that's like things that you have to think about. Like when you're getting a chair, is this chair, what's really important to you? The look of the chair? Does it have to look like it's fast? Does it look like it's supporting some sort of something? Or is it something that's helpful to you? You like oftentimes if you're getting that chair so you can spend a lot of time in it comfortably, then the comfort of the function of that chair has to be super important to you, and you have to go for it. So, like for instance, lower back support. That's going to be something that's important because it's not just about like the comfort, but it's also like the long-term effects of sitting in a chair that doesn't have that sort of support. And so the idea behind this slide, again, is to just get you aware of all these different things that can weigh into your mental wellness, into your productivity. They all can play a part in it. And so anyways, ergonomics is the study of how things fit into the human form. So thinking about like chairs and things like that, some chairs are built better than others. And it also depends upon, like, the quality of the chair depends upon what you find quality in. Is not just like the materials, but the looks, how it helps you for long terms. Like, if you're supposed to be using it for long term, are you able to without hurting yourself? A couple of guidelines for working is making sure like your feet are at a good thing where you're not straining your ankles or straining your legs or something like that. Making sure your arms, you probably can't see my arms that well, but the idea is it's like you don't want to spend your whole day like this. Another thing is like the thing that I mentioned, the example that I gave for the students is like kind of the thing that I always see that looks the most uncomfortable and like it can't be great for people for long term. It's like there's a place in the hub where it has those steps. It kind of looks like an amphitheater right outside the food court, I guess. And they have plugs for people to sit and do work while they're in the hub and maybe see people pass by. But the thing is like that's really can't be good long term because it's bad for you in all sorts of different ways. So first of all, you're hunched over. Your the seat is like hard. It's and flat, so it's not. It has no back support. It can't be good for you for any long term thing. So it's a great situation or it's a great place if you need to. You're wondering about an email that you sent, or you need to check to see if a document was submitted, or all these different things, like quick things that takes just a couple minutes, but you don't want to spend hours in that sort of position. So just think about these sort of things, like how your head is hunched and all those things like that. Also, some things that I've found with working in home environments. So a lot of people are doing that now. I am. And so some of the things that I have found is also thinking about the separation and isolation. So when you're thinking about productivity in workspaces, working anywhere, it might not always be the most helpful. Like having a dedicated room, if possible, could be useful. That's not always the case, but like having a dedicated little corner, the desk, like you could have like a desk or a small table, that's your workspace. That's what you need to use it for. Okay. And I'm not trying to lecture you as to how you organize your place. I'm just saying things that I have found useful for me for making sure that I am the most productive that I can be. So the thing is like that physical space is useful, but like dedicated workspace, the light, you don't want it to be too dark. You don't want it to be too bright. But also another thing is temporal thing too. So having dedicated times that you're working, that also can be helpful. If you don't, then it can kind of mess up your personal clock, and that's uncomfortable as well. Another thing that I found kind of useful is that, so even though I am working from home, and you'll find situations throughout your life that you're doing this, and it's especially now, I find it helpful to dress normally, even if no one's going to see me. The idea is it gets me in that perspective that I'm working, sort of thing. It gets my mind in that right gear, so to speak. Maybe that can work for you. So even, so instead of wearing my pajamas all day, I'll get dressed as if I'm going out, even if I'm not. Also, another thing is diet and exercise. Make sure you take care of your physical body, and that will help with your mind as part of your body. All right. So anyways, group project. So the grades, currently it's based on your group project grades are based on your MOU and your group contract. You had a thing at the beginning that was part of your grade, and it's not, unfortunately, the information that was before these assignments won't be counted because of the way the assignment was set up. And so that was my fault, and I'm sorry. The group information, I think it's what it was called. But the everything from this on will be. The idea was it was like you submit your group's things, and it wasn't set up for groups, and so it doesn't matter. The thing is like your MOU and your group contract are right there now, and then the documents will soon follow. The Word document, the presentation that you made, those will be soon after. Those will be coming very soon. Also, peer evaluations, they take a little bit of time. Peer evaluations, I think it makes like a very small percent of your grade. It's like 5%. And so I've been kind of putting it off because it's a lot of work to organize the data, because I have to get the data, I have to put it in a spreadsheet and rearrange it. And most of you put your information correctly, but there are some people who don't. For whatever the reason, they don't. And so fixing their those mistakes take some time to get everybody's to work. It's part of the process. I'm sorry it takes a bit, but like the priority ends up being on quizzes and things like that, like bigger assignments, and so I keep putting it off. But they will be in there, and it'll be good. Just as a reminder, the final product is you're making a video. I've updated the due date to be for April 19th. The idea is like you are, in these videos, you're presenting your information, right? And we will be watching it as a class, your video. When you submit your video, it needs to be as a file, so that I can put it together and that sort of thing. So you're going to be submitting a file. It needs to be 4 to 6 minutes. And again, it will be played in class, the last 3 classes. Okay. And that's why it's due April 19th, so that we have time to watch them. The final report is you're reporting on the video. It's going to take some time to grade. So, and I made it as late as I could for the grade. So it's actually due April 26th. But the idea behind this report is you are reporting on the video. This is going to include the script. This is going to be how your group worked together. This is going to include all the information about the project, including references. Okay? You don't really need to... I'm going to make the bold statement that I don't really need to see the video references, because I don't want to... it's 4 to 6 minutes. I want you to use that time as efficiently as possible to present the material. I will look at your references in your final report, because that includes also your script. So that's kind of part of your video in a very bunch of ways. We'll talk more about like these different aspects later. In fact, the next class, like I said, I will come up with some more tools that should be able to help you a little better with this project, and give you some time to work on it in class. And so, anyways, that's what I have for this next slide. We'll talk more about tools and help give you some time to work on it in the next class. So, with all that said, I think that's a good place to stop. I'll see you all Wednesday. Bye. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please press the like button. It lets me know I'm doing something right. If you have any questions about any of the content, please send an email through Canvas to me and the rest of the teaching team, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Do not send it through normal email. You will not get as fast response. These are COVID times, so it could take a little bit, but we will get back to you, I promise. Anyways, if you have any suggestions for how I can make these videos better, please leave in the comments below. Don't forget to roundhouse kick the subscribe button and ring the bell to get notified for when I post the next video. Anyway, I think that's good for now. I'll see you all next class.